And welcome back to SEN. You're on 1116. You're with John McCormack and Andy Donaldson on Everybody's Talking. Andy, you've got a special guest for us.
I know. Well, we're sort of doing sports of all sorts, doubling up a bit this week, and I have got a very exciting guest. She's a Queensland girl, born and bred, but she represented Australia in gymnastics and in platform diving. She's also an incredible entrepreneur now, which we'll talk about as well. We have Miss Suzie Lightfoot. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Thanks very much.
How exciting.
That was very grand.
Well, you are grand.
I don't know where to start here because
Gymnast.
Well, the diving scares the hell out of me.
Me
I mean,
too.
10 metres. You've got to be kidding. I wouldn't jump off those little 2-metre boards. But look, how did you? Let's start at the beginning. Hey, how did you actually get into the sport?
Okay, I actually fell into diving, but as a young girl, I was an athlete and I was a gymnast. So I had trained from a very early age as a gymnast and sort of rose up through the ranks and represented Australia in gymnastics. But unfortunately, as I got older, I also got taller. So the prospect of continuing in that sport was a bit of a handicap when you're 5'10".
Yes.
So I decided that I would change over to high diving. I actually knew a very good diver at the time, Nathan Mead, who was an extraordinary diver in those days, and he was a Brisbane boy, and I knew him, and he introduced me to his diving coach, Graham Dubel, who then took me on to great success as an athlete in diving, and I was lucky enough to get a scholarship at the Australian Institute of Sport. I think I was about 18 by that stage.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's quite late to be getting into a sport, isn't it, really?
It's really late, and I guess it was a little bit for me daunting because there's all of those concerns and about your ability and learning a new sport and a new discipline. Although the foundations are the same, there are fundamental differences, in gymnastics.
Yeah, well, 10-metre platform's a big difference from a floor or a beam.
Boy.
Yeah, it's scary.
How did you decide on the 10-metre and not the smaller one?
I guess 10-metre was good for me because I was used to jumping off things that didn't spring.
Yeah, right.
So I was a trampoline. Like if I had been a trampolinist, perhaps the springboard would have been my forte. And I did do, back in those days, you couldn't really select one or the other. So I did actually do springboard diving, but my best discipline was the 10-metre. And once you get over the fear...
Hey, how do you achieve that too, Suzie? I mean, heights I'm not big on, but I mean, standing 10 metres, and then of course, if you're 5'10", you're really 12 metres. Your head is above the water. Boy.
I guess it's like anything in life, and this is where I've learned the foundations. The foundations from my sport have also carried over now in my business, and for what I've carried over into my real life story.
Yeah.
So I guess no one goes up to the 10-metre and jumps off and does a reverse 2.5 on their first go.
No.
It's about basically doing things step by step and learning your techniques and learning your frameworks and starting off on the side of the pool, going to the 1-metre board, going to the 5-metre, the 7.5, and then eventually when you have the courage and the confidence and you have the skill, then you go up to the 10-metre and you've basically done all your training, you've set all your frameworks and you're basically ready to go. So the fear becomes less because you've prepared yourself and you've set your foundations. And I guess that's like anything in life and where I've really drawn from that experience.
We're talking to Suzie Lightfoot. It's true. That they are the foundations of life and business, that's fantastic. And now that you've gone through all that process, you're now actually holding seminars for women between the ages of, I'm actually not sure, is it 45 or 50 and over?
I
whatever.
Work with women, professional women, probably starting from about 35 and over. I just find that as women and as we mature, we have a whole set of other, anxieties and stresses and obstacles that we have to overcome. We kind of lose our confidence. We feel invisible. If you're in your 40s, often you can become intimidated by the digital world and the new economy that is now surrounding us.
Absolutely.
And I really resonate with women our age. Like I'm 51 now, and I hear every day, I've worked with hundreds of professional women who say, they wish and want and dream for more, but they haven't got the confidence. They lack the confidence and the courage, and they just don't feel that feeling of invincibility anymore.
And I've talked to you about this. I mean, turning 50 for me was actually a great milestone. I really enjoyed it because I was sort of up with the technology and the digital side because my kids were young enough to kind of teach me, So I haven't sort of fallen back in the business world. Like, I still kept in touch with it. So to me, it's quite imperative that you have to be in touch with that because it's running so quickly and so fast. You just have to be in touch.
Absolutely. If you're not, employers, whether you're a CEO, whether you're an employee, whether you're just a person in the community, the new economy, it's all about likes and shares and followers. And basically, employers and people are looking for the opportunity for you to give them that value when you come to their business.
Yeah.
So, you can't really, as a woman or as anyone in the digital age, basically put your head in the sand and say it's too hard. I mean, we've all learnt how to drive.
Yep.
We've all learnt how to use a computer. We've all learnt how to use our smartphones, and it's just having the commitment and the focus and the determination to try and learn these new platforms so you can position yourself as a leader in your field or industry or your business and really leverage and maximise from your personal brand.
Yep.
Such an important thing.
It really is. So what's your website details if people want to get in touch with you? Because I know that you're doing seminars in Queensland and I'm sure you'll be doing them in Victoria and New South Wales as well.
Absolutely. I love Melbourne. So I pop down there quite often. I've got a great network of professional women and networking groups that I connect with down in Melbourne. It's one of my favourite cities.
Oh, it's pretty cultural. I love it too, and the food's pretty good.
It's not bad, actually.
Except for the weather, guys. Except for the weather.
We've had cyclones. You've had everything up that way. And we've had beautiful 30 degrees every day for the last 4 months. So I don't know where you're getting out there.
Well, everyone has their moments, so I'll give you that.
Okay, we're going to get your website, and then I want to go back to this diving because we only touched on that.
No, we won't. We're going to go back to that.
I want to go back there, and I know you girls wanted to get this, this business in, and that's important too. So way to go with that website.
Bit of girl power has to come in, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
I want a bit of blood and guts here.
You're going to get it.
Okay. Well, there was a bit of that.
Yeah.
So, my website's just my name, SuzieLightfoot.com. So, yeah.
Yeah, so look it up, send Suzie a message and, keep in touch with her because the seminars are fantastic. And when she comes to Melbourne, just book her out.
Yep. Now, I've got 2 questions for you. Firstly, you hear about the Institute of Sport. Now, when you go there, do you learn anything else? Do you learn a marketing degree or you just study your sport?
Not at all, no. And I think it has changed. I'm not sure how it lies now, but when I went to AIS, it was brand new. It was a new concept. We did have dietitians and sort of the whole, experts that you do, but you didn't learn anything per se. It was basically you had to do uni on the side, or it was, you worked. I say worked. It was kind of like work, but you trained twice a day. I think it was probably a couple of hours in the morning and about 4 hours in the afternoon, and the rest of the time you could study or work or whatever you could fit in. So, yeah. I didn't get any qualifications other than a few bruises and, and those types of things.
Now, that's what I want to talk to you about because I would imagine jumping off a 10-metre board, diving board, you could really, really hurt yourself. Now, sustain any injuries or?
Yeah, I actually had a massive accident where I dislocated both my knees and ended up having to get full reconstruction on my knee. And often I tell people that too, and they're like, how on earth did you do that diving into water?
Yeah, tell us.
But as I said earlier, you do the progressions, and often it's on land, so you do the progressions first on land and those sorts of things. And I just had a horrific accident where I was doing a twisting movement and I landed on the mat while I was still twisting and basically just went at the knees. So
would you do this on a trampoline first and then move it across to the board?
We did have a trampoline and you sort of had a harness around your waist so that you could jump off the diving board and, actually it was more of a diving board onto a mat. We did have trampoline work, but this particular occasion it was off a 1 metre board, basically onto a mat instead of landing in the pool.
I feel quite queasy.
Can you tell me?
At the time,
I bet you did, darling. Gosh.
So this accident happened on a mat, so it wasn't in the pool.
No, it wasn't in the pool, but I did have a accident in the pool also when we had a Chinese coach come out, and he was taking us for one of our training sessions, and he was teaching us some very new techniques that I wasn't used to. And I was doing a dive called reverse 2.5, and it was off the 10-metre platform. And I tried so hard to get the technique correct that I closed my eyes, which is rule number 1 in diving.
You don't?
Close your eyes,
yep.
Susie, because you completely lose all of your air sense. And so I just didn't know where I was in the water, and I came out and basically landed nearly flat on the surface of the water, which knocked all the air out of my lungs, and I had to be embarrassingly dragged out of the pool, coughing and spluttering and carrying on. I was black and blue. But
when you hit the water like that, is it like hitting concrete?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you wouldn't want to go in face first, would you, Susie? You wouldn't want it face. No, because you could break. Geez, you could break everything, couldn't you?
Oh yeah. I mean, something you can dislocate thumbs, and there are injuries that sustain from that height on a continuous basis if you do it. A lot of times, you have to be very, very strong. And when I was 28, I actually re-entered the World Masters Games after I'd had a reconstruction on my knee, and my career sort of was over as an athlete. Yeah, and it was just the most amazing experience I've ever done. And I did all my dives off 10, but as a mature age athlete, you think 28 so young, but in the diving world or the swimming world or the elite, athletic world, it's quite old. But mentally, I was just so focused and so driven, and because I decided to go in for my own purposes and my own reasons, I just found that I performed a lot better. So I did get back on the horse, so to speak, and it was an amazing experience.
Well, that's true, though, isn't it? Experience and that maturity. It does make a massive difference. We were talking about, from when we were in our 20s and the insecurities and anxiety that you had as young women, and in comparison to now at 50, because of the different lifestyles that we've led, it's just, you just can't compare. I mean, I feel for a lot of athletes, professional athletes, being so young.
Yeah. And I think, you only have to look at people like Kieran Perkins, who made his massive comeback in
what a comeback.
Swim. It was just it was insane. I mean, I just still remember that moment of watching that, and just the triumph and sort of rooting him on as an older, more mature athlete. And it's like that in life. And I think women really have to understand what they have to offer, and the experience and the adversity and the challenges that we've been through in life do give us an edge on the younger, more youthful generation, even though many people, or most people, value that sort of youthful, complexions over skills and experience of mature age people and mature age professional women in particular.
Yeah. Now we're speaking with Suzie Lightfoot. Now we've got the Commonwealth Games coming up, Susie. Diving, are you involved with anyone there at all, training or helping?
I am not involved, actually, but I do watch it, and with great interest. And it's interesting how the sports do change and evolve over the years, and how there's become now synchronised diving, and the divers can also specialise on a platform now, so they can either just do the springboard or the platform. And back in my day, you sort of had to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
But I do watch with interest. I think even the scoring system has changed. And all sorts of things. So I love watching the new progressions in sports and how they evolve, and I just, in the stands now rather than an active participant.
Now, what about there was a very famous injury in diving. Was it Greg Louganis?
Yes.
Was that in the Olympics? Yeah.
He had hit his head, and I think the controversy about that was he was ill at the time, and there was just a whole, range of issues that came up about that. But he is actively involved with I believe, the Olympic divers now in the States, and, is still sort of mentoring and helping young athletes to do the best that they can do. There's a documentary actually that he has done that's quite fascinating on his mindset at the time when he was an athlete. He was actually a very insecure person and had a whole lot of internal demons going on while he was winning gold medals and while he was doing that. So he's actually a fascinating character.
He is, isn't he? I mean, I read that too. And also you're doing a new sport, aren't you, kayaking these days?
No, I'm not kayaking, Andy. I don't know where you heard that one.
No,
but
some unusual sport. Was it hiking, maybe?
No, these days I'm just more into boxing and going to the gym and those sorts of things. I have done a Google search on the next World Masters Games, however. You heard it here first.
Really?
Yeah, but they don't seem to have high diving in them anymore. Like, I haven't been able to find one, which has disappointed me immensely. They just had one, or they're having one in New Zealand, or they just had one, or they're having one, and yet there's not one there. And I don't know what the story is with that. I think they should
would
get
say
up birds back.
I reckon they're too scared to get up there.
Yeah,
That's the
I think
truth. You wouldn't get me up there for a
At
bet.
50, yeah.
Oh, last time I competed, there was a gentleman from New York who was in his 80s.
What?
And he performed, I think, three or four, I forget how many dives he had to do, but off 10 metre, he was insane.
Wow.
I would have thought just getting up the ladder. I would have given him 10
80.
points at 80. Gee whiz.
Yeah, I think I'd give myself 10 points just to get up the ladder.
Dear.
Oh, wow.
So those days are over for you? No more diving?
Well, if she finds one, she will.
I will.
Truly.
I'm the type of person who likes to have a deadline and a goal and objective to work towards. So if I can find one that's, going to happen in a year or 18 months' time, I might definitely consider it. But there's a lot of preparation that goes into even going into something like that.
You might be
So
too
I'd
busy
have
doing
to
your seminars, darling.
Might be.
Well, we might have to wind it up there, Susie, but thank you so much for joining us here on Everybody's Talking at 11:16. Thank you. We're with Suzie Lightfoot.